Hey y'all, it's Poseidon, and in this episode of the Poseidcast, I am joined by Rodimus Prime, an NRS content creator and TO who focuses mainly on the Injustice side of the NRS community. I have been involved with the Injustice 2 community, running Injustice 2 events for the past few years, so I wanted to have someone on who focuses on the side of the community. Rodimus goes on an amazing deep dive comparing Injustice 1 to Injustice 2, and he even mentions the mobile game, touching on the good and the bad of all three, from the gameplay itself to how you even collect the gear, and how this information could create the ultimate Injustice 3 if that game is to happen. Skip to this timestamp here if you want to start with that, and without further ado, let's begin the episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Poseidcast. With me today, I am joined by an NRS content creator / tournament organizer who is focused mainly on the Injustice part of the NRS scene. Tonight, I am joined by Rodimus Prime. Rodimus, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I thank you for having me here tonight. I'm doing really good. It's been a heck of a day dealing with the weather and whatnot, but once I was able to get in and sit and chill, I can enjoy the rest of my evening with family.
Nice.
How about yourself?
Nice. Yeah, no, so, definitely same. Where are you? You actually don't have to tell me exactly where you're from, but like, what state are you in? 'Cause I'm in New York, and we're getting some, we're definitely getting some snow. So.
Oh, I'm from here in Maryland.
Ooh, okay. So you guys get a little bit. You don't get like slammed, but.
It went away like hell almost as quickly as it came here within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It came down hard, stuck a little bit, and then overnight it's just like, okay, the pavement was just like, what snow?
I feel that. I definitely feel that. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Greatly appreciate you. As I stated, you have kind of focused more of your content and stuff on the Injustice part of the NRS community. What had really attracted you to the Injustice games, Justice 2, Justice 1, or whatever?
Honestly, what attracted me was the facet of playing some of my favorite heroes in a competitive online environment with friends offline.
Yes.
It's like way back in Injustice 1. The appeal for like when they first did the previews for it back in like what 2012, 2013. I loved the way that I loved the way that that it was designed. I loved the story. I loved the online interaction. I loved the offline stuff that me and my friends were able to do when we had like nice little in-house tournaments and events with people when we would kind of like do something between like the 4 or 5 of us. It was super fun. I don't have all the characters that were in there that I liked, but I love the fact that Hawker was in there and he was like into the day one.
There's so many cool characters in that game. Like the Injustice 1 to Injustice 2 like character pool is so different. Like I didn't even realize until I started running the Injustice 1 tournaments that's like, wow, these rosters are very different.
It is. I like the diversity. I also still feel that there's a couple of people from 1 that could still come over to outside the main retention-based characters that are like, the cover or the poster boy, poster girls.
Yeah,
they make sense why they would come over from the first game to the second game. But others, other than doing the Street Fighter and the Tekken approach where you take their battle templates and you put them on newer characters, I still think the characters themselves could have still came over.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I definitely would have loved to see, like, not looking back, and it was like, oh, it would have been so cool to see, like, a Martian Manhunter in Injustice 2. Like, oh man, that'd be so cool. Like a Solomon Grundy.
Definitely that. Like, I don't mind Bane's upgrade. I still think that it could have been still something good to still have a Bane and a Grundy, because you have 2 different versions of a grappler rush down tech.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think. Because it's like it depends on like which way you kind of want to play like the grappler character. I think they made like something they did in the first Injustice did they really capitalize like archetypes, like oh you are this type of character and you struggle with this type of gameplay and stuff like that.
Right. It had natural like matchup sheets here where it's not where they excel in all these areas, but they also have viable counterplay.
Like Bacon Lord came on and commentated the first Injustice 1 tournament he had, and he talked about how there was this guy who would compete at like a really high level, and he had like just a rotation of low tier characters, and then they all like in one way covered all the matchups, so there was never any like he never had to play like crazy pulverizing matchups, which I thought was really cool because it shows
low tier god, the NRS player. Hey yo,
was low tier god really a low tier loyalist? But that was
I don't know. I think that was just his. I think that was just his moniker.
yeah. I don't think he just plays exclusively low tiers. If so, then good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you mentioned the idea of like, I just think it's so cool that like you see like these superheroes, like you get to see like the Ninja Turtles fight Hellboy, or like Superman fight, Black Manta or stuff like that. You get to see these cool like battles that you would never see in any other universe or game. You know what I mean? And you get to
Yeah.
see like it's just like the battle, like just from like a viewership standpoint. I think it's really cool. Like the Injustice tournaments have been doing pretty well on the Chihuahua TV YouTube channel, and I think it's just because, like I said, like that idea of I get to play or watch a superhero fight another superhero or supervillain, and it's just really cool.
It is like, Chad. I tell you, it's something really beautiful. It's like you got like the Spawn of Hell, the Hellboy. You get to fight the Dark Knight or Wonder Woman herself, or you have like the incarnate of Shazam fighting a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like, all this stuff is like beautifully written concepts that you can't get anywhere else here, and the NRS was able to capture it perfectly.
I could not agree more. What really kind of dragged me into the competitive sphere of NRS games, or basically the FGC in general, because I started with Smash, so they're kind of like not really in that scope, which they are, but they aren't. Like, I was funny because I was at Combo Breaker for Smash, which is a big fighting game tournament, but Smash is, I don't know. I think it's a fighting game. I digress. But I remember I got eliminated from the Smash tournament, and I went over and I watched the NRS games being played there, and it was like Sonic Fox was in top 8 playing Michelangelo against someone. I'm like, bro, like TMNT. I didn't know TMNT was even in the game at that point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I was like, I mean, I was like aware of like NRS games and stuff. And like I played like a bunch of the MKs and stuff like that, but I wasn't like super really competitive. Or like a new game would come out, I played a little bit, and then it would go in the background. You know what I mean? But that was kind of what dragged me into the competitive sphere of NRS games, and then MK11 dropped not too long after that, and then I started kind of competing and getting into the competitive aspect of the game at the beginning of MK11. But Injustice kind of is what kind of pulled me into it.
Okay. You came in on the Injustice 1 atmosphere or Injustice 2?
Injustice 2. This Combo Breaker 2018, I want to say. Yeah, and they had an MKX tournament there. They had an MK9 tournament.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was like there's a guy from like in this city over. I live in in Syracuse. The guy was in Rochester, and he beat Sonic Fox in Mortal Kombat 9. The Kerbalicious.
Oh, I know that name.
Yeah, he beat. Yeah, like it was just like, oh wow, that's so cool. I have like just all like the tournaments, the top 8s and stuff going on for like the games. Is like, wow, this is super cool, and it's kind of what dragged me into it. So, what kind of got you in? I know because you mentioned that like what kind of got you into Injustice? What kind of got you into tournament organizing, content creation, competing, and stuff like that?
You know, funny enough, you're not the first person to ask me that. I got that same question that I reflected on after the online scene lost Team Spooky when NLBC stopped hosting. So, what drove me to making TO work, another one of my niche points that as much as I don't like it, I actually still do like it because I get to see some of the results and the difference making that TO work really does in a lot of scenes that doesn't get told or repeated a lot of the time, so you almost get to be like your own unsung hero in a way. But what drove me into being a TO was the fact that I wanted to try and be like a great player when I was like really heavy competing. I wanted to be a great player or try to strive to be one. And then little by little I tried doing that with a teeny bit of TO work. Like I started making my TO scene, I want to say somewhere around like mid 2019, early 2020. Is when I started doing a lot of stuff between Injustice 2 and Dragon Ball Fighters. I got the kick at that point to want to gradually juggle the two. It was when I had the energy to do it. I wanted to juggle the two somewhat, so that way on one side of the fence I'm sitting here striving trying to invest in these scenes, invest organically. There is no skip neutral here, or trying to get right with the right people in order to kind of jump the fence to get up into those standings or into that exclusive round table. No, I want to do it the old-fashioned way in order to go from the ground up. And it's going to be a hard process because you got to fight monsters every single time you go in the bracket, or if you reach that specific threshold, in order to go further, you have to fight this monster and you have to beat them. There is no other way around.
100%.
Yep, and this is where you either get exposed to the meta or you get exposed to mechanics.
Or your own nerves.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's a big thing. That might be the biggest.
Yep. I'll come back around to that, but
yeah.
And so when NLBC lost, or when we lost NLBC, and Spooky decided to not really host for online anymore, I decided to, instead of going back and forth between hosting and competing, I decided to shelve my competitive career for a little bit.
Okay.
And respectfully just host. As like my way of saying thank you to Spooky for giving me like a home to go and compete on and whatnot. Like I like, not to glaze him, but I worship the ground this guy walks on. Like, Spooky is like the man. Anybody that knows the next level battle circuit, that dude is like a god for online bracketer. He really carried us through COVID.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a line. He's been around for a while. I remember not to take your point, but I did a podcast with Arma, and he talked about. He hosted this like Injustice 1 tournament towards like the beginning of the game to kind of like a fundraise for like his friend's like car broke down, and Spooky like came out and like streamed it. Like it was at his house. It was like he was running an Injustice 1 tournament at his house, and Spooky came there. Like this was Injustice 1 day, so this was 13 years ago. So,
wow.
Yeah, so he's like even back then Spooky's been on the grind. So
yeah. If you guys out there, you can still catch him nowadays. He does a whole lot of like RPG grinding, and he'll occasionally do a lot of live restreams on Twitch and YouTube of just watching and promoting other events that are still going on in the scenes to this day.
Yeah, no, that's fucking awesome. I hope that I'm still 13 years into it, or more. I don't even know how long he's been doing it. Still kind of trying to do that and promote the scene and get more stuff out there and stuff, because it's really this, the more the merrier. Like the way I look at it, the more content that's being made, the more people that want to get into this stuff, the more that we can have it. And you said like a way of like you gave back to like Spooky or just like the community in general. That's kind of why I started like running events to begin with, as a kind of a way to like give back to the community.
Right. And it was through that lens and wanting to give back that it opened up my wanting to like try to expand, because I was really just gonna be happy with being in the Dragon Ball Fighters verse, and then maybe Injustice for the rest of my time with gaming, until I chose to just stop competing and then maybe just start hosting only. But I wanted to delve out into other scenes. It is, and unfortunately that caught up to me. That caught up to me not that far afterwards, when I took like my third or fourth break from being involved too much with games, is when that facet caught up to me. But I branched out to I branched out into Guilty Gear Strive. I branched out into Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I did try Central Fiction, but Central Fiction at the time when I was originally doing the branch out work was when BB Tag just got the rollback announcement from CEO Taku the year before.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
And Central Fiction got the update for rollback, but it was only on PC, not on PlayStation, and I was fully on PlayStation at that point.
I'm spoiled because I came into MK when it was like at the forefront of netcode. So it was like, wow, this is good. Like, they were, it was nice.
MKX and 11 region.
Yeah, okay, it happened in MKX, right? So like Justice 2 had it, and then MK11 had it. It was like, so it was just like, this is, you guys don't have this? You guys don't? And nowadays, everyone else is like, crossplay and everything. The netcode's crazy good. MK's now falling behind, but I digress.
A little bit, yeah. Because like for this generation, going out of COVID years into this the other half of this generation, rollback was the main push that I think 80% of the FGC market we were able to cover,
Mm-hmm.
but the few that are just getting their updates in order to still get that either cleaned up or get it included.
Mm-hmm.
The next push, I think, is probably going to be crossplay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have crossplay on all. I mean, it's crazy at this. I feel like it's kind of crazy that games don't have crossplay at this point.
Or not all of them. Because
Yeah.
crossplay would help out with a lot of the niche games. Like, it would
Yeah.
save.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Gameplay, because games where the player base is so small and it's divided between platforms, that would help it so
yeah,
much.
I wish Injustice 2 had crossplay, bro. That would be, what I would spend, what I would do to get that to be the case. The amount of people are like, "Are you gonna run it? Are you gonna run an Xbox tournament?" What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said, man, can you imagine how many of our brothers and sisters on PC and on Xbox could probably get in on something?
Yeah, I'd say that would grow the scene. I feel like tremendously, because it's like the more people that enter, the more people will be around. Oh my god, my cat! Sorry, my bad. Can't hear you right now. My bad.
Are you good?
But yeah, what were you saying? I'm sorry, I lost you.
Oh no, you good. No, I was just saying that's mainly is that Spooky really advertising and vouching for me when I was coming up in the Dragon Ball Fighter scene, because I wanted to be like a top Dragon Ball player, or at least close to it, representing the characters that I like to play, which is still Goku Black and base Goku.
Oh, Goku's Team Goku.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then every now and again, whenever it is I did good, or I'm featured on stream, because there was like 2 instances where I had to fight like killers that have taken his bracket before. It's like, oh, hey, you're round 1.
Ooh, damn.
And you're on stream.
Huh? Good luck.
Bro, I had to fight. I remember that one time I had to fight Kung Zero, bro. Chat, that was like a masterful ass whipping. That dude was like, he's a 3-time NLBC champion.
Oh really? Yeah, no, I know Kung Zero because he played he was playing MK1 at the beginning of the game. He would go to like the MKNJs and stuff. So yeah, I know Kung Zero. I didn't know he was like I know he actually. I think he won the NLB or the NEC 2023. I want to say the one that was the first MK1 for NEC. Actually, the only MK1 tournament NEC because they stopped doing it. They stopped doing NEC in 2023.
He might have. I remember the little bit of time that like King Lord Beerus was doing Mortal Kombat 1 when we were co-hosting it together. I remember seeing Kung Zero pull up for one of those. So maybe he did really like go deep into Mortal Kombat at one point or another.
Yeah, or at least towards the beginning of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially for people who are like, if you're good at like fighting games, like in general, or you're just really good at one fighting game, the first like 3 months of like the release of a fighting game is like prime real estate. You know what I mean? This is like you're someone who's already good at fighting games, so you understand all the fundamental aspects and stuff. So you kind of just learn that game when everyone else is learning it, and you may not be dedicated to it as long as them, but for the first couple months, you can definitely take some names and do some damage.
Absolutely. It's all about how you make the real estate with GameSnet.
100%. It's like because I compete in like Super Smash Bros. Melee, but I also play Ultimate. Like if there's a tournament at like a Melee tournament, they also have Ultimate. I'll usually just enter both. And I don't really play Ultimate like at all outside of like just those tournaments. But I'm able to do like relatively well, like beat good players and stuff. Because a lot of the difficult Ultimate tech is just like easier versions of more difficult Melee tech. So it's like I'm able to do like the advanced Ultimate tech just because of how it translates from Melee to that game.
Oh, so is that comparable?
What?
Is that comparable?
Yeah, I mean, like the games are different. So something that's like a pivot in Smash is really hard, and then there's this thing in the Ultimate called a reverse aerial rush, which just means like you're running, and then when you jump, you turn around. So you can hit them with like your back air compared to jumping at them. And it's actually just a very easy version of a pivot. Like it's more lenient timing, basically. So it's like. So yeah, so it's like I just do the pivot timing, and because it's more lenient, even if I'm a little off on the pivot, I still get the RAR, what they call it, reverse aerial rush.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
or I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like if you're good at like like NRS games. Like, I mean, I know they're not like legacy, but it's like, and you still would need to grind them. But it's like you can some things kind of carry over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like the neutral for NRS games is like pretty like nuts and bolts, like that you can take with you into other games. You got your spacing moves, you got characters and moves that can kind of either close spacing or make spacing, push back. Oki may or may not be a finicky thing, but some characters will ease that along. And then if you naturally know the concept of it, you can make that work when a character doesn't have it.
No, absolutely, kind of understanding. Yeah, like spacing and stuff like that, move properties and stuff. They like they change a little bit, but they kind of similar ideas. So yeah. So which Injustice game would you say you enjoy more, the first and second one?
Weirdly enough, between the two, I enjoyed them both for like when I went to look back at what they both offered in the earlier years in my nostalgia, and then in the later years now. Well, earlier years of my nostalgia and competition and like competitive drives, and then later years in terms of the nostalgia, and then looking back at all the years invested between the two. I feel like I invested way more into Injustice 2 over Injustice 1 because of easier access. But I remember that I enjoyed a lot of Injustice 1 over Injustice 2 solely because I was playing that a lot with my friends IRL. I had delved into like a lot of different characters that I really liked back in the first game. And the gameplay felt more enriching and less polarizing.
Yeah. No, that's definitely you're talking about Injustice 2 to Injustice 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. MK or Injustice 1, it's like some characters hit so hard, and it's like it's very, the way I would describe it as explosive. It's a very explosive game. Like you go in, you win neutral once, and you like will get this huge reward if you get this like certain hit or something. Compared to Injustice 2, where it kind of feels like it's more like about the intricacies, more like a chess match, where it's kind of like, okay, you get in, you get your hit, but you're not gonna melt the entire life bar unless you get like a crazy sequence, like a reset or something like that. Like you can do that; those situations do exist. But it's a lot more rare. It's a lot more like kind of like a like I said, like a chess match where it's like you're not going to just bulldoze your opponent. You kind of have to like, it's a battle of wits and a battle of attrition.
Right, and then if you so happen to get the life lead in Injustice 2, then you can kind of checkmate them here by always spacing them or throwing them out.
Kind of like when I watch Barrow play, he kind of is like always in a position where he's not a threat. He's always like just constantly slightly enforcing where he's a threat, but you aren't a threat. And he's never putting himself in harm's way. I feel like it's just like that kind of like embodies Injustice 2 in a particular way, and kind of like how to optimally play it. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
So I know you're a big Hawk Girl as a fan from Injustice 1. Who was like what would you say your favorite character in Injustice 2 is?
Oh, hands down, Red Hood.
Red Hood? You wanna go down why that's the case?
For Red Hood, what drove me to like Red Hood's background story was the DC movie Under the Red Hood. From then onward, I was sold to really love this character. It was just such a beautiful background on the presentation of one of the earlier Robins in like the Night Forces against protecting Gotham, and then just he was just the one that was just dealt a bad hand. And then in the later years, when we get into Arkham Knights, Gotham Knights, even though I know that was like the lesser of the Arkham franchise that people didn't really like, I actually like that a lot of the lore that they have between him and Nightwing was still Richard Grayson at that time, was to delve into how these two are like kind of like brothers in a way, and how like they're connected, not just by Bruce, but how their stories are kind of similar. One is like the antithesis of the other one in terms of like night and day in what Batman represents to Gotham City. Thus, what one half of that representation is one or the other.
That's very interesting. No, that's like another thing about the Injustice games that's like super cool is like the lore and how they mix them together and stuff like that within the game. stuff like that. Like how do they mix the lore of Red Hood with Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles? You know what I mean? It's like just so cool, like the storyline and stuff. They're able to build off that. Just lore wise, I mean, I feel like that's like, you know, if you like superheroes, you obviously are all about that stuff. So, and I feel like NRS has crushed how they made the characters look and the stories and stuff like that. At least, I'm not sure of story modes, honestly. I haven't played the second story mode. I'm being honest.
The second Injustice story is actually pretty consistent. It does hold up to the test of time even to today.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. I know that the first one was very interesting, making Superman be like the bad guy, basically. Definitely interesting.
And what I like about the second one, in that regard is that it built on the premise of that. Because the first game you're following like the main cast of the Justice League that went into the wormhole, and then you see like the anti-Justice League over there, which is like I guess kind of like the Justice Mafia. They had a play on this similar in the original Justice League, the animated series, which is what this was based off of. Like, that premise was based off of, and having an evil Justice League.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then Injustice 2 goes like 4 or 5 years into the future on that same side where evil Superman was originally contained, and now what is the regime and everybody doing now as the plot kind of thickens? It doesn't incorporate people from the original storyline or the original Earth 52 that we come from or that we've known. This is their universe now. Injustice 2 is focusing just their universe and how the Justice League comes back together with all that past bullshit in mind in order to tackle Brainiac.
That's very cool. Honestly, I should play the story.
I'll tell you now, you'll come to hate a character right away. So
I'm sure. But super cool. I mean, I know you kind of enter here and there. You signed up for a few of like just the NRS tournaments that I've been hosting. Are you planning on you know? I know we talked. There's speculation potential of like a new Injustice. Do you want to go down like that rabbit hole of like what the potential Injustice 3 and all that stuff, what that could look like?
I would love to. Like Injustice. Well, in terms of like, I don't know if you say something. In terms of coming back to the game, I wouldn't mind coming back to the game to host a potential Injustice 3 and see what that landscape looks like. Or even coming back for Injustice 2 if the community wants to have me back. It's up to them.
Yeah, that's fair. They are. I love them. A great community, unforgiving community though, man. Let me tell you, they'll let you have it. But I love them. They're awesome. Very, very cool dudes. For the most part.
They're trying to do better. Some of them are trying to do better. I'll give them their credit. They're trying to do better.
Fair enough. But yeah, no. I like the community. It's just like it's I just feel like there isn't a lot of desire for a ton of events. Am I being real? I'm not sure if I'm getting like too real. People are gonna be like, "What do you mean there's not a desire?" But
say
in
it
terms of
chest
like,
out. There's like
no, sometimes I'll have to be
big.
like, I want to just at least make sure, like, as long as there's 8 people in the bracket, I'm good. But sometimes it'll be like an hour before the bracket, and there'll be like 5 people, and I'll be like, does people sign up just to play in the bracket? Just so we have 8 people, like, please.
Thank you.
It's like 5 is like it's just not a bracket. You know what I mean? Like 8 is like that's enough. That's enough for a tournament.
Yeah, 8 is enough to always make it do what it do.
Yeah. But anything less than that, it's kind of like, ugh, not really. Just people kind of playing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You know what I mean? It's still a tournament at the end of the day. I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like if I say I'm going to host something, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't just like cancel it or something like that because of that. But it's kind of like in terms of like to keep a game that's older going, what you need is one, you just need someone to host the event. Not everyone's going to want to host events for a game that doesn't have the community. Then you need like the second thing is you need like a solid base of players who are going to show up like every time. Like 4 or 5 like people who are just going to every single time the tournament are going to show up.
Your core audience basically.
Yeah. And then, you need some way to get a new influx, whether, for a game like Injustice 2, or like, I guess any older game, it's people who, a big audience is people who used to play the game, who moved on to other games, who you kind of get back into it. Or just like people who didn't even know. Or someone like me, for example, who came in after, got like involved with the community kind of after MK11 came out, so that kind of took over the show. This is kind of like my first opportunity because I watched a lot of competitive Injustice 2 towards the end or the second pro circuit, and then right before MK11 came out, I watched a ton of Injustice 2. So I'll continue with saying that the third thing is needing like a new influx of people. So as long as you have kind of those things, then you kind of can have like any game have some sort of competitive scene. So yeah, anyone who's looking to run games, it's like I feel like especially NRS games, like even like older like like Street Fighter 4 or whatever, all deserve to have some sort of community and player base and stuff like that, and people deserve to recognition for their hard work. You know what I mean? Even if it's just hey, good job or whatever, not just saying the game is dead or something like that. Especially if there's people that want to play it.
Right. But going into what I was going to say with Injustice 3. So actually, a lot of this I actually did write out because I wrote out some good notes when I was up county when I was doing my laundry. I wrote out a lot of notes that I wanted to go back over regarding 1 and 2 and like the highlight points of 1 and 2, and then going into like how they play into Injustice 3 because I think so far, and I'll get to that later on at the end of my thesis, that I still believe that Injustice did good at making an attempt at a legacy template, which Mortal Kombat never did that.
No.
So, to start off, there's a lot of good theories and intriguing skepticism both around like how Injustice 3 will play, what it'll look like, or even feel like mechanics-wise, or what the roster might even look like. So to delve into this, I'm trying to look back at the past game's visuals, the gameplay, story mode, and different features for base retention and return value, and trying to compare it to newer titles. So like a key point from the notion of Injustice 1 was like the game holds personal significance and value for countless NRS folk, as it was one of the first games people played in the lane. If you watched DC cartoons, or you read the comics, or you pivoted from Mortal Kombat to deep dive into this, or you just sought to create content. No reason was bad, the game was just getting attention and traction at a non-stop pace. For those not indulging with the multiplayer, there is an avenue to also seek for collective trophy hunting or Star Labs missions to dive into for the comic backstory, with character-specific trials and the campaign. Story holds strong after all this time to really captivate the audience into a deep dive of suspense and thriller for a superhero video game. I can speak graciously to the single-player content, the story mode, and the visuals at least to its time. It might not hold up as well now in that regard, and that's okay, because there are some products that don't have to be carried by visual cleanup and aesthetics to still get to the finish line of retention in the end. Additionally, its DLC pack for the game at the time, while top-notch for its choosings, could have had, in my opinion, one more wave of DLC or guest installation, and also, for my opinion, in the testimony of the many. Like, I feel they could have applied more resources from the mobile store in order to add another wave over any fanboy wish list you'd actually want in the game at that point. You had your Martian Manhunter, you had Lobo, you had Zod, Barbara. They were amazing. Barbara probably a bit too much depending upon your take on the meta. And then I take a look at Injustice 2. So we have the aesthetics that were also cleaned up vastly, almost cinematic-like in the presentation. Character designs are breathtaking. Injustice 2's home screen compared to Injustice 1 was a little boring. It's more cleaned up, absolutely, but it's not as animated, or it's not trying to tell you a story. It's just taking notes of one that's unfolding for a multiverse venture. It's not really the same thing. The maps, while prettier and designed visually better, are rather lacking this time around compared to Injustice: Gods Among Us. Because they have to do with the game world, but hardly any of them have an identity with the DC universe. That was the issue that I had with some of those. And then the leveling system, where higher level characters deal significantly more damage, or you can only turn this off in private or custom lobbies, that was just like niche garbage to implement, and was polarizing to the playing casual audience in late stage gameplay. Players gotta like nerf themselves to retain sets with these people that they're fighting against, unless shown that they got max level also, so you can kind of just take off the training wheels.
Yeah, those are interesting.
Then you have the loot box system to unlock rewards or skins or character-specific abilities that they can only use in comp or rank play. It was just the game's own version of like RNG or a loot, or yeah, an RNG system that you got to feed into, and I kind of hated that. The loot grind is easy, but the loot rewards were so lacking in realistic probability to get what you wanted. Those same resources you get back from breaking down repeated loot boxes, sure, that could just go on, but it could also go into actually buying the in-game sought thing or that thing that you wanted to buy, using those resources that you can probably trade in for whatever, like a trader system, like what they do in like other like ported Japanese games or JRPG games or MOBA based games. They can do these same things to convert resources into actual in-game currency you can use towards buying in-game content that you want. That way it would be like a win-win of investment consistency. Like, yeah, you can play the crappy system long enough, you'll have thousands upon thousands of shards or crystals or whatever the resource may be.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay aspect was okay, but I'm gonna try and return to that for Injustice 2 in a bit, because there was layers to that kind of complicate Injustice 2 getting off scot-free as a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And then briefly the mobile game, because the mobile game I'll talk on briefly because the mobile game actually played a part in a couple of background elements for return value for Injustice 1 and Injustice 2.
Interesting.
Because the Injustice 1 mobile game, that's like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old mobile game engine that's still surprisingly online to this day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
It's just for me to jump in, like I remember I go to like Dave & Buster's, they have like an Injustice game there, but it's like the mobile game. It's like,
oh my gosh.
yeah, it's like it's cool. I have like a Sinestro like card I got for playing it one time. It's very interesting. I'll have to go play it more. It was just kind of like a turn off because it was the mobile game. It wasn't like being able to play the actual game. So.
Oh wow. It's just the fact that they had like a live station for the first Injustice game or the mobile game.
It was like the mobile game. I didn't even know there was like characters from Injustice 2. There were characters from Injustice 1. Like.
Wow.
Yeah, it was at Dave & Buster's.
Okay. But yeah, with Injustice 1 to mobile, I remember it came back up in conversation not that long ago when I remember that it came back in conversation originally not that long ago when Peacemaker dropped in Mortal Kombat 1, because the app also released Peacemaker for the Injustice 2 mobile, and then it injusts like 2 or 3 pieces of gear about Peacemaker in the Injustice 1 mobile, and I was just like, okay, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Also, guys out there, there's a host, his name called Jay Does Comics, that took the time to really revisit the mobile game for Injustice. Check it out. It's actually an interesting video to take a look at. I don't play it myself. I just thought it was interesting, like how consistent it still is after all this time.
I'll have Rodimus send me a link, and I will put it in the description of the video, so you can check that out if you made it this far and that intrigues you.
Yep. Because it was still addicting in suspenseful nature. The skin diversity was top tier. Graphics weren't all that, but again, it's just the fact that diversity was really great. There was a lot of skins that NRS never put into the console version in Injustices at all, despite having the character models and its coding already finished in the files. Like you had a Regime 52 Wonder Woman, you had the Arkham series Batman, you had Nightwing suit, like variation Nightwing suits in the comics. You had variety Cyborg and Raven costumes. And I'm just like, bro. Like, it's just the fact that the content was all here. That was kind of like frustrating on why a mobile game could house more skin diversity over character diversity, and it's updated over the more readily available console edition and better PvP resolution and PvP presentation, but it's hard for this kind of simplicity.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point. That's such a sad thing to think about.
Yeah. Like, if that was your thing, hey, the highlight was like it has a really good addicting nature over the Injustice 2 mobile. Injustice 2 mobile was really just farming for crystals to do the same thing, but I think the way Injustice 1 did it by having like a card unpacking system, like how you like unpack trading cards, I think that was better and that resonated better with the audience over grinding for crystals.
Yeah, I think that's what I have. I think I have a Sinestro like trading card that they give you for playing the game at Dave & Buster's. Oh, that's funny.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually don't. It's somewhere around here because I have like a this kind of collection of like MK and stuff, so it's somewhere around here. I'll send you a picture
Okay.
of it if I find it.
Oh, let me know.
We'll do. You can go on.
And so years later, not when one of them was past its prime, but respectfully when both of them were past their prime together. So it's a whole other generation of NetherRealms. This era right now, those titles are roughly marketed together now as a bundle, and it's been a good decade minimum since their respective relevancy around Mortal Kombat. And so now we can reassess as the outside looking in as opposed to the inside looking out. So years later, the nostalgia still holds true for captivation. Story still holds strong like its comic iteration. Years later, it roughly captures that feeling to play a superhero game. Years later, the cosmetics and customization holds supreme as a key seller point of creativity. That's what's good. Now here's what's bad. Years later, okay, what doesn't hold was the light contrast of Injustice 2's mechanics or engine formula on the familiar engine. It didn't pivot that much from the original formula. It just changed somewhat in order to accommodate the weird design edifice. You had like button ABC launch ABC ender, or button ABC launch ABC meter burn, or with button AB special meter burn confirm ABC ender setup, or ABC super or ultimate for the round check. And it was kind of that same recurring formula. In Injustice 1, it could pivot at times from this because characters had answers to most situations, or their buttons could be multi-purpose. In Injustice 2, it rarely pivoted from that ideal formula on a combo interaction. And then what didn't hold was Injustice 2's over-reliance on projectiles and the unfun mechanic outline, like what it originally had, like a flip-out combo.
Yeah, where you can get out of the combo, like air escape.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't the first, and I like the fact that they had a first round and a second round meter wage system. That I personally liked. That one was a nice touch up as opposed to just being one round. That I actually did like. That was its own thing that it improved on. But the combo break system, that didn't really need to be there. That can just be, that was reevaluated instead of transitioned from era to era like it did in the Mortal Kombat 11. They had to change it a handful of times in order to attempt to balance it here. It just was over there in the same kind of fucked up way it was as a defense response, and it was still a lacking defense response. Like, first of all, no one really wants to repeat 70% of the roster kind of just chucking projectiles to checkmate a win condition or checkmate the lead in a bad matchup situation otherwise. And Injustice 2 was an unfortunate abuser of this because of how the map designing was that inadvertently complemented the formula contrast.
Yeah, I was actually about to mention how the stages being so long could definitely aid in that type of playstyle.
Yeah, it promoted more zoning and spacing over just spacing and rushdown. And chat out there, this is not a mechanical issue. This was a design issue. That first thing I was talking about here is a design issue, not a mechanic issue. The mechanic issue came in later. And then you got like I said, with dominant projectiles, because the problem here that makes them so dominant is because a key answer for a large portion of that dominance isn't really done. It leaves the players kind of walking back and just creating these checkmate situations, which create the antithesis of fun. And that goes into the lack of counterplay. Unlike Injustice 1, Injustice 2 didn't really offer sufficient counterplay to characters that could just sit full screen. You can turn your brain off and do projectiles. It's just a brain dead playstyle that is most effective on spreadsheet, unfortunately, as most of the characters lack the ability to immediately stop that strategy. And then you have the ineffective mechanics to counter zoning. So, the game introduced the mechanic that allows players to roll across the screen with invo frames. That was the dodge roll. But it was never really worth it in order to help the zoning aspect. It was a really terrible trade-off attempt to close the intended gap just for the player to space themselves right to where the recovery frame is that you're going to roll out of from active frame, and then be whiff punished back into a full screen monopoly.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
Because I guarantee you guys, you can fight an average player or your average intermediate player, they're not going to be aware of that niche little tech that actually allows you to kind of cheat keeping your turn.
Yeah,
you fight an expert, they know exactly, they're going to keep being a space, they're going to keep pushing back when they notice you have meter, so as soon as they see that, right here.
Yeah.
And now you gotta block.
Yeah, if I ever do a meter burn roll, it's always like kind of like a hard read. Like they're gonna really commit here, and I'm just gonna roll in and get to them. And sometimes, the read's wrong, and you get blown up for it.
Yeah, I mean it's a gamble. You do gotta roll the dice sometimes. So sometimes you will get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you will get it. Sometimes you won't get
You're
it.
playing Mikey,
But it is
bro.
there to take down.
I gotta get in, man. I gotta get in at some point.
You do.
Playing
You
a
do.
mixed
Honestly,
character in his own
Mikey,
game.
you do. Mikey and Leo, I think, get in like the most consistently of the turtles.
Oh yeah,
And they
that's
they
why
can
they're
still get some good
viable.
pressure off.
They're not the two worst characters in the game. It's kind of sad that you don't really get to see Donnie or Raphael.
I'll give it to there was one dude and Nostalgic Turtle, but
Mhm.
both of them they specialize in playing all the turtles competitively.
Mhm.
That was the one time I had seen, and during one of my exhibitions, I had seen Nostalgic Turtle play Raphael. Raphael, when he gets to shine,
He hits
so much damage.
Dude, so when I was like first getting into playing in the tournaments, I played Nostalgia Turtle and he played Raphael against me, and he hit me with like the craziest combo. It was like a 600 damage combo. It was with Raphael.
Yeah, like
It was so cool.
this is unheard of.
Yeah,
Hell,
So-
I see why he doesn't get a chance to get in.
yeah,
Damn, when he's in there, he's in there.
yeah, for sure. I don't even know what Donnie does, honestly.
I used to play him a little bit when I was starting out in Injustice 2. Donnie is a setup set play character.
That's
But
actually cool.
So his whole point is to try to get Oki. That way he keeps setting up on it, so that way he's always going to be plus or safe off of every button that he goes for.
That's actually really cool. I kind of will look into that.
His problem for the turtles, in my opinion, he's actually the worst one, is because he actually doesn't have a lot of neutral tools to get in to close.
Yeah, like they don't have like any sort of neutral like assist. That's kind of how
He's
I
got
like.
a staff that can poke, sure, but
Yeah.
that staff poking to give him that extra reach of range only does but so much with a lot of limited combo conversion games.
Yeah, and how big the screen is, bro. Like you have to climb a small mountain to just get to the point where you can press that button.
Yeah.
You don't have any way to get in or anything like that, but yeah. No, you can continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're good. But yeah, but with the counter zoning and the ineffective mechanics to counter zoning, with like them introducing the invul roll, this right here, now this that was supposed to be the answer to a set design issue, now became a mechanic issue on top of that.
Interesting.
And lastly was I already went into the break mechanic. And mind you, okay, they kept this exactly as it was in Mortal Kombat 11. But it could be easy to see why most people can see MK11 core structural outline would be assumed like the mechanical succession into an Injustice 3 setting in Mortal Kombat 11 over taking key schematics from MKX and details from MKX and MK11 more specifically.
I can agree with that.
Then, lastly, years later for Injustice 1, Injustice 1 caved badly in the one area, and that was just online. The upkeep over time, the upkeep overline more specifically, yeah, it became more of a relic.
Yeah.
The gameplay is genuine in its enriching and fucked up nature, how it was supposed to be, that a lot of people really liked in its own way when they get to play it.
Yeah.
But the server's retention after a decade plus to allow the option to see that whole returning process is debatable, borderlining very unstable. Like, a lot of people were like, over the term of like decrepit is the term that you could use with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've ran a couple Injustice 1 tournaments. There's been people that had to DQ just because like we can't get them in the lobby together.
Yeah,
in streaming,
you hosted it.
Yeah, like there's no way to go AFK. So if I'm in a call, I have to go in after every match to like spectate. So they have to beat me up, and then we go to the next match. It's definitely different.
It was a different time. Like Tekken may do that from time to time, and then they got better updating the lobby system over time so that didn't happen. I think the last game for Tekken you could do that with, where you just have to join or you have to do like a rotation spectating, was Tekken 7. But here is like the invite system was broken because it may or may not work. The lobby system was not generally stable. You have to go to private lobby to avoid casual DCs. It doesn't rarely happen like it does in anime fighting games. But this particular type of fighting game, because of the age on it, that was more and more common the older it got.
Mhm.
And then in the lobbies, just like what Poseidon was talking about, you can't really spectate. You have to manually switch off the active player in order to have that same spectator.
Mm-hmm. Be able to do the match.
Yeah. And then the added frustration in that sense was after its PS4 porting from PS3, it was the same engine as it was when they resold it in its original remastered bundle, knowing the online was trash. Yet casuals won't complain or may not complain against the market assessment because your favorite things are in here.
That's fair.
And it's like I just couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Because Injustice 2 was developed using, and for those of you guys out there that are guessing about the engine schematics, Injustice 2 was developed using the Mortal Kombat X engine, which provided a lot of the enhanced gameplay features, the detailed characters and textures and grander effects that made it a
having
substantial...
PNGs on the end screens.
Exactly. It just made it a substantial evolution from the predecessor.
Yeah.
The original Injustice 1 game was also developed using the Mortal Kombat engine, and then the mobile version for Injustice 2 was on Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 4 was what MK1 was ran on. And so the gameplay mechanics that we wanted on this engine versus what we ended up with are debatable still. I know there's a lot of like sexy ING reviews and Game Informer reviews of yore that were all made that highlighted a lot of good fine points about the game, which at that time they're nice, but I don't think that they were still great overall. And I think that they were all created by a lot of really educated casual tourists in the way of just enjoying a great comic book video game over being here long term and actually like investing in the game beyond face value. Because the best reviews in the world aren't going to tell me that you played PvP on this shit for real, and then tell me it's the Taj Mahal of NetherRealm's game.
That is so true. No, that is actually that's the best way to put it, honestly.
But a quick design note that I will note, and then I'll go into my sum up, was like I thought about it for years, and it was a missed opportunity I think that they could have had to help with the matchup charts against zoning to where it wasn't so polarizing in Injustice 2. So Injustice 2 had its gear system that allowed for unique playstyles and abilities. Each characters could unlock 2 fixed abilities when they reach level 10, level 20, with abilities following obtained as random rewards from the multiverse or epic gear in the mother boxes. The gear system included the ability slots, which can be used in order to switch out superhero powers for enhanced effects or alternate effects in order to gain a better advantage or more experience. The system allowed for the creation of different alt abilities, which can be more powerful or they can provide additional moves and buffs and junk. The problem is that, okay, 1, you have to get these through RNG of grinding the multiverse, and 2, these are only locked to online rank, not private use or even general use, so that way you can turn it on and off like gear. First thing I would have thinking here as a design flaw, because there's another design flaw, one thing I would have said was to add a set rotation slot. Remove the ability slot, add a set rotation slot, so that way people can make or generate builds between the 2 styles for the character. Just like what you do in MK11 customs when you're making builds. You do the same thing by switching back and forth between 2 set abilities that the character can apply that are a part of their natural kit. You just pick one or the other, and they both have a game plan. There's a lot of abilities that I noticed in the game when I'm sitting there trying to grind rank of the multiverse and see these different things that characters can do that are actually a lot of very interesting wide space based moves or are interesting or intricate answers to full screen or pseudo full screen presences.
Interesting.
At the cost of meter or your character acting differently that you have to figure out different routing for. It's not going to do damage, but it's the fact of it being an odd answer for something that's not directly close to them. 2 is including an ability toggle feature. That way it turns this on and off. It turns abilities on and off, just like how people can turn gear on and off as an option. I think that would have honestly did something right there. The problem was solved a bit more naturally, if not completely. Injustice 2 would have been playing Mortal Kombat 11's base game idea with a little bit more open range to matchups than what MK11 was doing in its own environment. Injustice 2 I don't think would be as bad as it became by many of our friends, And I also believe that the NRS game wouldn't be so critical of Injustice 3 like it's on some pedestal needing to solve a problem the other two games couldn't fix during their reigns or attempt at longevity. Like, Mortal Kombat did that to Mortal Kombat, Injustice didn't do that to Injustice.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And so my overall verdict going into Injustice 3, which does still seem logical or possible as a breakaway from Mortal Kombat 1's like downfall and MK's fall off from the big three ladder going into 2026.
Mhm.
Like MK has been in a position right now it's never been in its entire existence of its IP.
100%.
And so if I were them, I would respectfully probably gamble a new game in the IP mix, or just take the trilogy route for Injustice now and bring that into a new generation, building on the past anchor points of the current engine.
Mhm.
So the main retention points for like those two games was like, despite their age, Injustice 2 still holds up in 2026 with the core gameplay, customizations, and visuals. And then for Injustice 1, despite the age bluntly showing amidst grave nostalgia, it can put up numbers in the presentation department consistency-wise over the visuals. The graphics don't fully stand the test of time, but the gameplay, in my opinion, is a noted carry point to where I could argue it's better than Injustice 2's in the long-term department simply because of the better core design work and matchup counterplay while still having understanding to that counterplay that creates pockets of thinking. Like that same thing that you can lazily do in Injustice 2 in terms of like just kind of just go mute for a little bit and do one or two things the whole set.
Mhm.
Injustice 1 stops people from doing that type of shit to avoid being punished or just being counterpicked by a character that happens to have a full screen button answer, or this particular button I can press when you do that. That will just check you every time you do it.
Mm-hmm. Except for like maybe the occasional matchup.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, like Zod and Lex Luthor. It's like, okay, well, he's big and he's just gonna get hit by instant air balls. But
And you see, Zod in Injustice 2, I think would have been a nice answer to some zoning
Mhm.
elements. Because Zod closes some good thing with pseudo zoning in his own right. He does Supergirl's gameplay, but she doesn't have to go off screen in order to hit you from the back. He just comes right at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
But Injustice 3, I feel needs to redo the whole aspect of what playing a superhero fighting game is supposed to feel like.
Mhm.
They nailed what it's supposed to look like so far between the controls, more accuracy of characters in their toolkit, and even a lot of the ultimate attack designs, because the attack designs for Ultimates in Injustice 1 still hold up well in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the ones in Injustice 2 equally as efficient.
Great.
How they're all supposed to feel though will vary, and a lot of that varying turned a lot of the past games' momentum from fun to probably aggressively unfun. The approach with Injustice was to build upon itself, and each installation did separate from each other. The gameplay, each installation didn't separate from each other's core concept-wise. It just differed in the gameplay execution-wise, and the mechanics either helping or hurting that follow-through of the execution.
Yeah.
And so to me, despite that one drawback, and that was the design issue that I talked about earlier, this is a really good succession of creating a legacy template, like how the game, for the most part, will always play. Mortal Kombat never did that in any of its hierarchy in its run, even when it was a part of the Big Three originally. That was just Street Fighter or Tekken that had a legacy-based run, where even though there's little things that change about the gameplay over the years, the game still plays the same for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's combos you can do in Injustice 1 that are like the same as the ones in Injustice 2, like a Batman B&B. Not that like it's like the game plan's the same or something like that. It's just like you can do this combo in this game and then you can do it again. Like same button sequence.
Yeah, Batman, you can still do the same stuff. Superman, you still do the same stuff. Wonder Woman has options.
He's 4-2-3 man in both games.
Hey, both Superman players, you know your 4-2-3 is basically hey, we go into Injustice 3, just say, can I still do 4-2-3?
Yes.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, we're good. 4-2-3 breath. Okay, perfect.
but I don't see the layouts for controls really pivoting. I just see controls slightly either getting updated for their initial set purposes, where there's still a little bit more that they can do or a little less that they can do, but the same purpose is still the same.
Mm.
And then lastly, I'm thinking back at the skeleton for the game, so which is like I'm pretty sure it'll be on an Unreal Engine 4, just like Mortal Kombat 1 was. And so a major focus for Unreal Engine 4 was creating tools that simplified the user interface. And like I remember one of the main dev teams back then was Sweeney. They talked about it when they were debuting Mortal Kombat 1. Was like with Unreal Engine 3, it was a big complicated user interface. And so with Unreal Engine 4, the effort was to expose at the base level everything in a very simple, easy to do, discoverable way, and to build complexity on top of that so the user can learn as they go. Something missed in Mortal Kombat 1's delivery of that easy presentation or the needed evolution of online that fed into Ermac's huge patch that changed a lot of shit at that time. Then adding the complexity on there. Something that missed from MK1, I almost guarantee you, is going to apply in Injustice 3. I just haven't figured out what it is yet. Not the fact that it was a tag fighter imitation cameo system, not that. I'm talking about the deeper things that we haven't thought about yet with the other aspects of the game designing. Natural flaws versus correctable flaws, simple solution shit. Now, this pivot I do see. I do see interactables being tweaked or toned down or removed or just being on select maps. And they're going to try and take a note from Killer Instinct. Because they were fairly abusive in the last gen games. I can kind of also chalk it up to map transitions too in that regard. Because they were included in some optimization routes where you can just end in like a heavy launcher and boom, 70% plus damage and a quick round start reset ahoy.
One time.
Sometimes.
Fun times.
Yep.
Well, sometimes fun times, both.
Yeah, but those were the main things. I think for the most part, yeah, to retain it for Injustice 3, I think for the engine that they're going to ran on, there's going to be more interaction that you can do in story. I'm hoping that they can take out more They can still leave interactables in my opinion, but limit how useful that they are in the decision making of the match.
So, yeah, are you still going? I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was pretty much my closer, like right there.
Okay, cool. That was awesome. That was really cool. I loved hearing what you had to say about the games, 1 and 2, the deep dive and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. So something I've pitched this like during tournaments and stuff like that, or to my like co-commentators, and I wanted to ask you, each stage in Injustice 2 or even Injustice 1, they vary so much. Like it could change like a whole matchup. Like there's matchups that might be 55-45, that might be 5-5, or vice versa, because you got a particular stage and they have this access to this interactable that allows them to do certain things. I remember I was playing against a Zog. I don't even remember what stage, but he was zoning. He was playing Bane, and he was just throwing so many interactables at me that he was zoning me. And it was like Bane doesn't have any projectiles, but I was getting zoned by Bane because he was throwing the projectiles, and they don't cost anything. Like in MK11, they cost stuff. Like they cost like a defensive bar, or depending on what you wanted to do with the interactable. In that game, unless you want to armor it, it's free. Just do it. Like as long as you're close enough to it. But what I wanted, my main point was, how would you feel if there was some sort of, and maybe in the next game they can implement it, depending on how they do the stages. When it comes to competitive play, there's like a counter picking system to stages, and the characters, like maybe using all the stages would probably be too much. So maybe you narrow them down to like 5 to like 7 stages, and then after one person wins a game, then they can like ban a stage or two, and the other person gets to pick the stage rather than it just be random every time.
Like stage wagering.
Yeah, it's kind of like do you play Super Smash Bros. At all? Familiar with the competitive scene at all?
I'm familiar somewhat with the scene. I don't think I've heard of stage wagering before. How does
so basically, it's like stages make a big difference. There's matchups that I said, like I talked about how like there's matchups that change completely based off the stage, and like there's like 80 stages in Smash, and a lot of them are not competitively viable. So is you basically have at the beginning you play rock paper scissors with your opponent. Whoever wins there's 5 starter stages, and they'll ban 1, you ban 2, then between the last 2 they choose. And stages really make a difference in matchups. So something like that. And then it's like once the game's over, whoever won, they'll ban 1 stage, and there's 6 stages. So then there's like, okay, there's other 5 stages. You can go to one of those 5 stages. Does that make sense? Did I lose you?
That does make some sense.
Yeah. So it's like, I know in Injustice it's not as big of a deal, but I've pitched the idea and like, I don't know. I just thought maybe for like a tournament or something like that, but I feel like it would almost help with the competitive integrity and viability of the game. Imagine I'm not sure if there's any stages where it's like an interactable that like gets you in for free or something like that. I don't know if anything like that exists. But that would be a good stage for rushdown characters, you know what I mean?
Right.
Mm.
For the most part, every stage, at least from Injustice 2's aspect, every stage, when you like to commit to an item or interactable, forces you to be within a set range all the time. So you have to understand how to play the neutral to a degree, even if you don't want to be close to them. Whereas in Injustice 1, interactables didn't create immediate transitions. Not all of them that I'm aware of. There were some that were just going back and forth in the environment or the scene, depending upon however the transition was favored.
Yeah.
I think the only new one was probably the Batcave, because the Batcave didn't really have a lot of items down there. It was just the main computer board, and I think 1 or 2 items floating on the left or the right hand screen. Other than that, that's just like pure neutral for that map.
Interesting. Yeah. So at CEO 2022 MK11, Big JG was playing full auto, and there was this stage where there was this jump interactable you could do, and it would put you at full screen. And it was Sindel versus Sonya. Sonya was like a rushdown character. Sindel was like a zoner character. So full auto was just getting the full stage for free because of the stage. And we're like, and Big Daddy G didn't end up changing the stage. And like looking back, it's like maybe the tournament would have been completely different because it completely changed how the matchup was being played. Because he was able to get the full screen for free, or half a defensive meter. But you know what I mean? It's just like the stage actually made a big difference, and I see it sometimes happening. So that's just my thought process. I feel like it's not a very universally accepted idea.
It's not, but that's a really nice design. That's a nice design incorporation that can also be a counterexample for dealing with some matchups sometimes. So
Yeah, exactly.
stage presence can probably help make a difference in some regards here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad cop-in.
Yeah, I was saying because like just for competitive like nature, like maybe if there was a certain like you get to go to these stages because then it affects like certain combo routes, especially in Injustice 2 with like even Injustice 1 actually, both stages like background bounces and stuff like that, affect combo routes and stuff like that. You maybe you get a little bit more damage on this stage than you would have on this stage, and that could be the difference between a win and a loss. You know?
It can be, and there are some maps that do set up the whole thing there based off of how much interaction you can get, or like I said earlier, also with the amount of stuff that you have in like a transition interaction. When you're transitioning from one side of the map to another side of the map, that too can also calculate other elements of damage or another level of the percentage that can be a deciding factor of what happens next.
No, 100% definitely agree. No, I feel like that makes it cool. It gives it a little unique nature, a little fun little thing that competitively still has its viability and stuff like that. But yeah, I think they're cool, and yeah, like you said, maybe they'll get rid of it or they'll rethink the whole system in the next game.
Here's hoping. Because like a map thing would be a nice inclusion for what you're saying. A map thing would be a nice inclusion. Keeping the.
Or you can just turn off. You can turn the monitor off.
Could we always turn off interactables? Or
Could
that
you?
was never a thing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know competitively they're on. I've been hit by plenty of them. So,
weirdly enough, I wouldn't be against something like that either. As simple as that is, to just simply turn off and on interactables just to see how does this map play out
option,
without the preset of interacting here or here in order to gain an advantage. What if you just played this as a normal map?
Yeah. So in Smash in Ultimate, they turn the ability to turn stage hazards on and off, and for a very long time it was like, oh, just turn them off because that's just more viability and you can use more stages when they're off because it basically pauses the stage and just has it how it would be without, like in Smash, like things will move around and stuff. It'll just pause everything. But for a little bit of time, they're like, maybe turn them on, and then there's certain stages that have certain different things, like a Yoshi story, like Randall will move around, which is like the cloud. So like you can go like off the stage a little bit sometimes and land on it. But yeah, so maybe it's not like necessarily like, oh, turn off hazards. Like maybe it'll be a
Yeah.
if that makes sense, yeah. But I've definitely had you for a little while, so I won't take you too much more of your time, Rodimus. But I do want to ask you. I always like to ask this: is there anything you felt like I would ask you, or is there anything else you would like to say, or any shout outs you'd like to give? Before we end the podcast here.
I appreciate the opportunity to really be here and state my piece on Injustice. I don't know if you had any other like Injustice goers or whatnot on the channel, but I'm glad if not, I'm happy to have pioneered the conversation to have other people sit and talk about what they like, didn't like, or am hopeful for about Injustice with either 1, 2, 3 on the horizon or the structure of 3 yet to be.
Yeah.
In terms of shout out, definitely shout out to the homie Nikito.
Nikito?
Yep, Nikito the one. That's my
Nikito the
homie.
one? Oh, dude,
Yep.
I love it. We did a podcast a few months back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I will be sure to check it out.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, shout outs to Nikito the one. Shout outs to Miss and Samael, War God Samael.
That's a War
shout
God.
outs
I just call him War God, and that's what I'm gonna call him. That guy's the guy. I love that guy.
And shout outs to Mugen One Sensei, my teacher, the teacher.
Oh yeah, the Red Hood, dude. That guy's nasty. That guy's so good. He just showed up. I think he showed up to the 40th event, which is like the big one, or 30th, with the big one. He cooked, and then he showed up again the next week and cooked again. It's like, oh, this guy's just good.
Yep. That's my Mugen. That's my. Have y'all don't know that's my teacher. Yep, that's the Red.
Absolutely. Anything else?
And then, shout outs to Mink and Venom.
Mink and Venom.
Yeah, because those two were like a really good dynamic duo. They had me and him, all three of us, we had like a really, really huge blowout to close out an era for Injustice 2. It was called Joker's 2v2 of Madness.
Ooh, I feel like I heard of that.
I'll send it to you when I can. It was a really, really beautiful tournament of yesteryear. It was like a $600, $700 tournament.
Oh,
that was ran as a 2v2. Everybody picks their dance partner.
Yeah.
And then it was a really big event.
Yeah, I need to do a 2v2. I've been slacking on doing that. That would be fun.
And then in terms of any promotions, not too much is gonna be happening. I am gonna be coming out of TO hiatus. I'm gonna be shelving my competitive things again in order to go back into hosting the TO work, because I noticed there's a few places in the console scene that are just like lacking or don't really have that input, and so they're waiting for something.
Okay, well, so what games? I can make sure to we can leave a link to like a Discord or maybe your Twitter, whatever, so I can tell you to join your events.
Sure, I'd love to, and I can also give you my hub for my Start GT. There's an official hub for Iacon Battle Circuit.
Ooh, okay, cool.
I got big and I have enough events where I just have my own piece of a hub for Start GG, so you can literally just look that up and it'll just take you right to my abode setup. It'll be a picture of the Batmobile on it.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, no, I'll leave a link in the description for anyone who's interested in that.
Yeah, but my first thing when I come out of my hiatus for TO work, my mods were asking a couple of the same things. First place I'm gonna go to set up for in order to get people what they need for PlayStation. I do have PC now, but I cater to PlayStation particularly because PlayStation's my family.
Fair enough. Yeah.
PC's always got people. PlayStation we got to stay together to make sure that everybody gets them.
I have to agree.
First place I'm going to be visiting Dragon Ball Fighters. I'm going to be visiting Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, 2XKO, and Mortal Kombat 1.
Ooh, okay, cool. I would maybe enter Mortal Kombat 1. Sure.
Yeah, as soon as I get my scheduling and whatnot right with where I am right now with work, I'm going to try and slowly start working these in here so that way I can introduce at least a couple of tournaments for those games. And then for Mortal Kombat 1, I have a whole preset outline for um, a point system for how I wanted to try and do this, because I know I wasn't going to host that many of it. Mortal Kombat events for Icon or Iacombat, which is the brand I have for Mortal Kombat Icon. But I wanted to make sure that what little stuff I do for Mortal Kombat, I want it to say like to be a statement.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's cool.
And so for that one, I just wanted to try and see if it could be like maybe a $100, $200 pinnacle assessment that was based off of either 6 or 8 different tournaments for the game based on a point system. Yeah, tournament qualifier. And then just go that route, because it'll be like the second time I actually do that for my brand. So it's like, okay, let's do this. It's a road untraveled, so let's travel a little bit more.
Cool, man. That's I love that. I love that. Definitely make sure to leave links in the description. But thank you so much for coming on, man. It means a lot. It's really cool talking Injustice 2 with you. And I will see you guys at the next video.
You guys take care. Like I always say, till all are one, right?